She had just finished a 16-hour shift saving lives. Exhausted, frozen, and stranded at a bus stop in the middle of the night, Maya Johnson, a dedicated black nurse, thought her worst struggle that day was simply getting home. But then a sleek black Bentley pulled up. Out stepped a man whose wealth and power could change anyone's future. He offered warmth, safety, maybe even opportunity. But what seemed like a rescue was only the beginning of a nightmare. Because what Maya would soon uncover would not only shatter her world, it would expose his. Maya Johnson was no stranger to long nights. At 31, she had built her life around serving others, working double shifts, comforting frightened families, and fighting to give her patients the dignity they deserved. Her colleagues admired her focus. Her patients trusted her steady hands. For over a decade, Maya's record had been spotless, her future promising. But on that bitter New York night, she was just another tired nurse waiting in the snow. The hospital's fluorescent lights had faded behind her, and the city felt unusually still at 2 in the morning. Wrapped in her thin coat, she pulled her bag close, watching each breath turn into frost. Buses had stopped running on time. Cabs sped past without stopping. And so she stood, shivering, trying to convince herself she could wait just a little longer. That was when the quiet broke. Headlights cut through the storm, and a luxury car she had only seen in magazines slowed to a crawl in front of her. The sleek Bentley didn't belong in this frozen corner of the city. Not at this hour, not here. The tinted window slid down, and Maya's pulse quickened. She had no idea then that the man stepping out wasn't just a stranger offering help. He was a millionaire with a reputation no one dared to question, and a reason for being there that had nothing to do with kindness. At first, Maya thought the ride was nothing more than an act of generosity. Daniel Harrington, the man behind the wheel, introduced himself with a polished smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. His tailored coat, his watch, even the quiet hum of the Bentley, everything about him radiated power. He asked where she worked, how long she'd been a nurse, and what kind of patients she cared for. At first, it felt like polite conversation, but the questions soon became oddly specific. How many children do you usually handle on a shift? What protocols do you follow when mistakes happen? How do you report errors? Maya brushed it off as curiosity. Still, unease gnawed at her. She answered cautiously, watching his sharp gaze linger on her every word. By the time he dropped her at her apartment, a chill deeper than the winter air clung to her. Something about that ride didn't feel like rescue, it felt like inspection. The next morning, her world shifted. A call from the hospital summoned her urgently. When she arrived, faces avoided hers. Whispers followed her down the corridor. Then the blow landed. She had been suspended. Her record, once spotless, is now stained with allegations of negligence. A child's file bore her name, falsely marked with errors that weren't hers. Maya's chest tightened. She had given 10 years of her life to this hospital, to her patients. And now, overnight, it was as if her dedication meant nothing. She knew who had power over those files. The very man who had stopped for her in the snow was the CEO of the hospital network. And suddenly, the night before felt less like chance, and more like a calculated move. As she dug deeper, rumors began to surface. Other nurses, brilliant, ambitious black women, had vanished from their positions after sudden incidents. Some left medicine entirely, others moved states, their reputations ruined beyond repair. And each story circled back, quietly, to Daniel Harrington. Her fear grew with every revelation. This wasn't just about her. She was caught in the crosshairs of something bigger, something colder. Daniel didn't just build hospitals, he built traps. He sought women like her, promising opportunity, then dismantling their careers piece by piece. Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through her suspension notice again, her name staring back at her like a sentence. The weight of it pressed down until her breath came shallow. He had done this before. He was doing it again. And if she didn't fight back, she would become another trophy in his collection. She couldn't go to HR. They worked for him. She couldn't go public. Who would believe a nurse over a billionaire CEO with $600 million and a board of directors protecting him? But Maya was stronger than he calculated. Quietly, She began taking steps, saving voicemails, writing down conversations, and reaching out to others who had once dared to speak. What she uncovered was terrifying. Documents altered, text messages sent in the dead of night, women threatened into silence. And just when she thought she was alone in the storm, one of those women finally called her back. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. "You're not his first, and unless we stop him, you won't be his last." The trap had been set, but Maya was about to turn it against him. The boardroom was packed, directors in sharp suits, assistants hovering at the edges, and Daniel Harrington seated at the head of the table like a king on his throne. His smirk told everyone he had already won. Maya sat in the back, her suspension notice still burning in her bag, her career hanging by a thread. Daniel began speaking with his usual confidence, painting a picture of growth and profit. He spoke of efficiency, of integrity, of trust, the very words he had used to destroy her. Each syllable was a knife twisting deeper. But then the door opened. 2 federal agents stepped in, badges glinting under the fluorescent lights. Whispers rippled through the room. Daniel's smirk faltered. The lead agent's voice cut through the silence. "Mr. Harrington, we need you to come with us." The room froze. Maya's chest pounded as folders landed on the polished table. Evidence she had helped collect. Dozens of files, each one carrying the weight of ruined careers. Messages Daniel thought were hidden. Testimonies from women who had been too afraid to speak until now. Daniel's hand gripped the armrest, knuckles white. He stammered, insisting this was a mistake, that he was the victim of lies. But his voice cracked. The board stared in stunned silence as the image of their untouchable CEO crumbled. Maya felt her throat tighten, every injustice flashing back. The freezing bus stop, the false reports, the whispers behind her back. And now, for the first time, she wasn't the one on trial. He was. As the agents pulled Daniel to his feet, his eyes darted toward her, filled with rage. It wasn't remorse. It wasn't regret. It was the fury of a man losing control. For a moment, Maya feared what might come next. But the sound of the cuffs clicking shut echoed louder than his anger. The room had shifted. Power had shifted. And for the first time, Maya realized this wasn't just about surviving. This was about changing everything. Daniel Harrington never returned to that boardroom. Stripped of his title, his fortune, and the respect he once demanded, he became a headline, not for his empire, but for the empire he tried to build on broken lives. The women he silenced finally had their voices heard. And Maya Johnson, once suspended and humiliated, was reinstated not just as a nurse, but as the new director of hospital integrity across the entire network. She didn't stop there. With the settlement money, Maya created scholarships for young black nurses, building pathways for others who might have been shut out. She fought to install protections so no one could be targeted the way she had been. Out of Daniel's cruelty, she carved a future rooted in justice. But the scars remained. For every Maya who rose stronger, countless others had been driven out, their stories untold, their careers erased. Racism in medicine, subtle, systemic, and devastating, wasn't just Daniel's doing. He was only one face of a much larger problem. Maya's story is a reminder. Power unchecked can destroy lives, and silence allows injustice to thrive. She turned her pain into change. But should she have had to? Should any nurse, any doctor, any person be forced to fight this battle alone? The answer is no. And yet, these battles continue every day, in hospitals, in boardrooms, in neighborhoods across the country. Maya refused to be his victim. She became his undoing. And in doing so, she left us with a question we cannot ignore. When the next Maya is standing in the snow, waiting for help, will we let her freeze? Or will we finally change the system that put her there? What do you think about Maya's fight for justice? Was this just one man's cruelty, or proof of a system built to break people like her? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more powerful, true-to-life stories that the world must hear.